All right, so hello everybody, and welcome to our first podcast and first live called Still Learning Us. Today we're going to be talking about real life and real relationships and how those kind of work together. And so just a little bit of background on me. So I'm Jerry. This is my beautiful wife, Sarah, who's with me as always. And it's easy to say as always because this is the first time that we've done it. And hopefully we'll do it more, that's the point. So a little bit about me. My background is, first disclaimer, I am not a licensed therapist. So anything you get from us is just psychological education, psychoeducation, not really meant for therapy purposes. But I also serve as an Army chaplain, and I've got a lot of experience working with families. And so that's kind of my background. I have a advanced degree in chaplaincy, graduate degree in mental health counseling, and all sorts of stuff like that. So that's kind of my fun stuff. That's kind of me. And this is Sarah, and she's got a different, unique background.
Okay, I don't have any of that. I have 2 adult children, and I've been married 3 times, and I've been through a lot of trauma. So hopefully I come with lots of experience.
Yeah, generally her job is here to just ask the sentence she asks me all the time whenever we start working with people. And what is the question you ask me all the time?
Do you actually know what you're talking about, or did you just read it in a book?
Yeah, so that's kind of like our funny thing, right? So a lot of times I'll sit here and I'll be like, well, I was thinking this is what people should do. And she'll be like, do you really know?
Or did you read it in a book?
And it's kind of like, have you ever noticed, have you had this experience, all of your friends who don't have teenage kids or don't have adult kids, they're all experts on what you should do with your teenage and adult kids.
Yeah, but they don't have the teenage or adult kids.
But they're always like, oh, I would never do that. And you're like,
well, wait till your kids are teenagers or adults.
Yeah, and so her job here is pretty much to call out my bullcrap when she thinks that I'm just quoting some stuff that I've read from a book, and really kind of give you a different perspective as well too. Because a lot of times when we come from a therapy or a psychological background, we have all this theory and concepts we should do, and sometimes it doesn't translate really well to real life. And so sometimes her job too is also to say, can you say that in a way that makes sense? Mm-hmm. And so that's kind of our background. That's why we're here. We hope you join. By the way, if you're here, you can just drop in the comments where you're watching from and what's going on. But again, so let's talk about the name of our live, the name of our podcast. It's Still Learning Us, right?
Okay.
And that name's important because I think that every couple is still learning how to be us. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter if you've been married for 5 years, 10 years, 1 year, you're all learning us. And we really have an exciting way to learn us because we did things kind of weird. Tell them how we got together and all that.
From the very beginning?
From the very beginning, yeah.
So I've never done a dating app. And so I randomly one night just took a picture of myself and clicked on, I guess it's the Facebook dating link, and all these people started popping up, and I guess I don't even remember how to use it, but you popped up and we just started kind of messaging back and forth, and you were pretty clever. How did you get me to actually give you my phone number?
We were talking about dogs and how she had a dog and I had a dog that I used to have and how much dogs were. I was like, hey, I can send you a picture of my dog, but you can't send it through the app. And you were like, so what's your number? And so she gave me her number. See, use my big brain, right? She calls it my Jedi mind tricks. But, and so, yeah, we did that. And then she came over to watch a movie.
After you called me and invited me over when it wasn't planned.
Yeah, because we had this plan and we're going to wait till a certain point. And I was like, hey.
Yeah. And I basically never went home.
So we met and were married in 3 months, which has really added to the whole learning each other thing, right? Mm-hmm. But I also think it's important to have this podcast too and to talk about the fact that real life can be messy, right? We have this idea that couples who are happy have it all put together, and if we don't have it all put together, we can't be happy. And I don't know if that's either just perspective, you've studied marriage therapy, so you must be good at it. Oh, you've been an Army chaplain for a long time, you must be good at it. But the reality is, I effed it up more than anybody sometimes. And so, it's good to have that. And I want people to realize that, you don't have to have perfection to be happy.
Yeah.
Because if you always seek perfection, then you're never going to be happy because you're like, oh, it always could be better. I mean, that's not to excuse when it's not good, because I think that a lot of times we're like, oh, well, we have to excuse bad behavior. I'm not saying that. So let's just talk about some of the complications. Like, so still learning each other. Remember when we were in Houston and we went to go try that pizza place?
Oh yeah.
All right. So why don't you tell them kind of? So sometimes when you're not always careful, sometimes what you'll do is you'll think you know what the other partner wants, and you'll be trying to please the other partner. So kind of tell that story.
So we were trying to figure out where we were going to eat, and we both decided, okay, we're going to go to this pizza place. So we walked what, a mile and a half or something?
A mile and a half, yes,
In
because I didn't want to
Houston-
drive in Houston and park
So instead we walk in the Houston heat. So
in August.
the hottest time of the day. So we got to this pizza place and we're both sitting there. Mind you, neither one of us wanted to be there. But because we thought the other person did, we really tried to continue to find something on the menu when we finally just looked at each other and said, what are we doing here? I don't want to be here. Do you want to be here? No, we don't want pizza. So we ended up walking the mile and a half back and another mile to go to a burger joint.
Yeah, and I'm glad we've gotten to the point where we can learn to communicate those things, because earlier, about 2 years ago, we had gone through a train derailment and had to buy all new furniture. At this point, we were still on our best behavior, trying to make sure we
Yeah.
made everyone happy. And so we were buying furniture, and right now our house is full of furniture that neither of us really like, that we got because we thought the other person would like it. And so I wonder, do any of you guys have stories kind of like that where you realize, hey, I'm still learning my partner, and because I'm still learning my partner, there's mistakes that I make and there's things I need to grow on? Because I think that is a key thing to think about. And that's kind of what we're going to be talking about in a lot of these podcasts is how can I live a real life? How can I be open and transparent with my partner? And how can I be happy? Wait, I dated this guy for 4.5 months and ended up things not because everything was wrong with him, but because I didn't feel aligned with him. Oh, we're going to talk a little bit about that, because I like that. Being aligned with someone is really important. Because right now, this is something that's very much out of Sarah's comfort
This
zone.
is not my comfort zone at all.
So the reason why we started doing this is, so I do a lot of training in the Army on marriage and family therapy. And I do a lot of these conferences and a lot of trainings. And so Sarah used to come just kind of do the administrative stuff, right? Because I am a good big picture person, but I don't. What do you think of the love languages? Hey, we'll talk about that. I think the love languages are great. We'll eventually get into some of those. We're going to talk about that because I think the love languages are a component of relationships. But so she started coming up and started doing more talking and more talking and more talking. And so I said, hey, look, I'd really like to do this. I'll be transitioning out of the Army eventually, and I really want to do a lot of marriage and family coaching and relationship coaching. I'm working on my LMFT. And so I thought, hey, I would love to take some of these skills that I've been gotten and bring them to people, because not everyone has the resources to be able to do the things the Army's allowed me to do. And so that's kind of where we're at today. And what I want to start with, so you mentioned love languages. I'm a real big fan of the work of the love languages. I think that, there's a lot of truth to that, and learning how to communicate love languages is really great. But what I want to talk about today is, and that's the thing, right? You go to a bookstore, you can find 1,000 books on relationships. You go through TikTok, you can find 1,000 gurus trying to give you advice on getting married. There's this one guy that I follow and I stitch all this stuff because I'm always like, dear Lord, 5% of what he says I like, but the other 95% I'm like, where are you getting this? And that's just, you're right, because we all want happy relationships and there's so much advice out there. And so we're going to start with, before we get in the session, is and if you can drop in the comments, that's great. What is the best and what is the worst marriage advice you got, or relationship advice? So what's the best and what's the worst relationship advice you got? So Sarah, why don't you start telling me what the worst advice you got was?
Don't go to bed angry.
Oh yeah, and that sounds good on paper, right?
That sounds really good, but it's actually not good advice.
Yeah, because sometimes your partner will do something that keeps you really, really mad. Listen, sometime in the future, I'll tell you about the thing that I did that made her really, really mad. And there was no way you're going to get over that anger in like
No.
3 hours, right? And so, and that puts this unrealistic expectation. Well, then I just have to forgive and I just have to let go of this. And really, and a lot of people quote that from scripture, don't let the sun go down on your anger. But that's not really what the text there means. The text really means is don't hold on to anger any longer than you have to. And sometimes you're going to have to say, hey, listen, I love you. I care about you. Right now, I'm really angry. I'm still here. I'm still committed, but I'm angry. I think that's a good one. Another bad piece of advice I got was like, well, if it's meant to be, it's going to be easy.
Oh no.
Like
Marriage is not easy.
Marriage is not easy because
Marriage takes work.
Marriage takes work, but and then we think, because we hear this like, well, if it's meant to be that it's to be easy, well, if I'm working so hard at it, then there must be either something wrong with me or the marriage. The reality is it's hard work. Every relationship in your life is hard work, right? Because I'm married to someone who's almost perfect and I'm as imperfect as they get. And so,
Don't listen to them.
yeah. So like the reality is when you care about somebody, it's hard work.
Yeah.
But you know what? If you're a parent, it's hard work. If you want to be a good son, a good daughter, a good brother, it's hard work. And so that's bad advice. Any other one have bad advice? We'll shift into good advice. So what's the best advice you got?
I'm still waiting for it.
Still waiting for it. Well, okay, so mind you, she's married to a marriage and family therapy type expert. She's married to someone who spent his entire adult life studying marriage and family and working with marriage and families. And she just told you, what's the best advice you got?
I'm waiting for it.
She's waiting for good advice.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. At least you know she's here. I guess the best advice I've got was to...
Oh, I have one.
Go ahead.
Always date your spouse.
Always date your spouse. In fact, that's going to be the core thing we're going to talk about here in a little bit. So I love that. The best advice that I ever got was to have a short memory and be quick to forgive. I think one of the, and what I mean by that is like, forgive your partner as soon as you can, which is, and then try not to remember those things if you can, right? Try not to remember that.
Okay, I kind of like half agree with that.
You like half a C? Again, she's here to call me out of my bull crap, right? And yes, there are limits to that, right? So like, there are some things that I think that are transgressions that are not really forgivable, right? I don't want you to be in a relationship where someone's characterological abusive. I don't want that for you. You should not have to stay in a relationship where your partner is habitually cheating on you. There are some things that you should not forgive.
Yes.
But there are some things that you should forgive and you should try to forgive because you can't live life with somebody without causing some harm from time to time. But what if I could give you a cheat code? So no one else is really giving us any good advice. So what if I could give you a cheat code right now that would help you be on a way to a better relationship? Wouldn't that be great?
Does that even exist?
So there is something. So we're going to talk today and for the next few weeks about John Gottman and his 7 principles for marriage. Now, you can right now Google the Gottman method, and you're going to find out that this guy is probably one of the renowned experts in marriage and family therapy. In fact, he's one of the first guys in this field. And he really wanted to figure out, he was an MIT graduate, big mathematician, and he wanted to figure out what makes relationships work. And so he had this lab up in the University of Washington, go Huskies. And no, we're not Husky fans, but I just say that because I'm stupid. And so he studied couples for like 20, 30 years, and he said, okay, what are the relationship masters? In other words, what are those couples that are doing things right and seem to survive? And what are those relationship disasters? What are those relationship things that just seem to fail? And what he found out, he says, as he looked at it, he said, there's really 7 things that the couples that do it right get right, and the ones that get wrong really mess it up. And so he has this idea, and I'm just going to go over the 7 principles. We're going to talk about them briefly, and then we're going to deep dive into one. So starting with number 1, he said is love maps. Do you remember talking about love maps?
Yes.
So love maps are this idea that, when we get together with someone, we have this big group knowledge of people, right? And so we get all that stuff together. And so couples that have a strong relationship, those that seem to win, what they do is they constantly work on growing their love map, their knowledge of their partner, their knowledge of who they are, because that's the core to a relationship, right? So intimacy is built off of knowledge and friendship. So that's number one. Number two, he talked about cultivating fondness and admiration. And what I talk about that is generally in our spouse, we like a lot of things, right? But however, when things aren't going well, when things are struggling, we tend to focus on the things that aren't right?
Yeah.
So it's kind of like if I'm out building a deck, right? And first of all, she'll know I'm not going to build a deck. I'm going to write a check for that crap because I ain't doing that. But if I was out building a deck, let's pretend for a minute I'm handy,
Okay.
right?
We'll
And
pretend.
and I'm out there pounding nails, and all of a sudden I miss the nail and I hit my thumb, right? Like 96% of my body's really good, but all of my attention is going on the thing that's not working. And so couples that succeed, they cultivate that fondness and that admiration and that build the thing. The next thing that couples that succeed do is they turn towards each other instead of away from each other. And what that's really talking about is bids for attention. And we'll talk about that in a few weeks, but it's kind of like when your partner comes to you with something and says, hey, honey, and you don't respond to that. Maybe you are oblivious. Maybe you're like me and you're so trying to be TikTok famous that your nose is in your phone. Whatever the answer is. So when couples that succeed, they respond and they turn towards each other. So when Sarah comes to me and she wants my attention and she wants something from me, even if I'm busy, even if I've got going and stuff on, I can say, hey, I stop what I'm doing and I say, hey, Sarah, what was that you need, right? And it's okay in that bid for attention because, like, here's the thing. I'm the needy one for attention in our relationship. Like, I am the needy one. It's okay to come and say, hey, you know what? I don't have time hey, what did you need? Great. Hey, can I come back to you in like 10 minutes because I'm really in the middle of something? Because I'm really good at coming to her in the middle of something that she's doing and then needing all my attention. But couples that succeed, they turn towards each other. Number four, see, like I'm getting ahead of myself. Number 4 is they receive influence from each other, right? I don't know. I've watched my mom and dad, and I hope they never see this podcast. Actually, my mom can't, but anyway, I hope my dad never sees this.
It was so bad.
But, you know, have you ever been around couples, and maybe you've seen it on TV, maybe it's not you, but their way is the only way.
Oh yeah, like dad, it's his way, the only way. Mom would always respond if you asked her a question, well, whatever dad wants. But you can tell that it was more of a controlled response because she'd always put her head down and just go, whatever dad wants. And
Yeah.
because it was dad's way, whatever dad wanted, however dad wants it.
And dad was not really going to receive
Oh,
influence.
and no, he does not receive influence at all.
And really what happens is, so healthy relationships, happy couples, they have this give and take back and forth where they can receive influence from each other. And a lot of times in the evangelical Christian world that I grew up in, that gets twisted, right? So there's this idea that your spouse has to submit to their husband, right? She's like, and listen, and I think submission is an okay term, but it's not like submission, right?
I don't like that word at all.
Yeah, but in that idea is like, well, whatever my husband says, well, you know, my husband's the boss. Well, you know, that's just not what I want from my wife. I don't want her to not feel like she can't communicate her values. She can't communicate what's important to her. And so healthy relationships, partners receive influence from each other, right? She communicates to me, I communicate to her, and we have this yielding. In fact, men who learn to take influence from their spouse report higher levels of marital satisfaction because, honestly, my wife sees things I don't see. And, you know, if I don't give her room to communicate to me, to share with me, to give information to me, and I'm like, no, we're going to do it my way no matter what, well, that's not really going to make her feel valued and feel loved. And it's really not going to go well for you. So number 4 is you receive influence. Number 5, and this is really cool, you solve your solvable problems.
Yeah.
Now here's the bad news. 96% of your problems aren't solvable. So think about this. if you have been married or with your partner for any given point of time, and go ahead and drop a comment here if that's true, how long y'all been married. We've only been married 2 years, but we put a lot in those 2 years. But 96% of your conflict is perpetual. You're going to fight about the same things over and over and over again. And here's why. You're not the same person.
No.
You know, one of you will leave cabinet doors open. One of you will leave clothes scattered throughout the entire house. We won't say who that one person is, but
Yeah, but those are like little problems.
yeah, and there are some bigger problems too that we'll talk about, but couples that succeed are those couples that can learn to solve the solvable problems, right? Those things in their relationships that are not character issues, that are not personality issues, but solvable problems. And we'll talk about that in a few weeks. That the solvable problems, they're if you'll sit down and work on them, there's usually a solution. Number 6 is couples that seem to be succeed, they work through gridlock. And so here's the problem, right? So I said that 96% of our conflict is perpetual. Well, when you start talking about those things, you get gridlocked. And it's just like, it's kind of like in Washington, D.C., where senators can't pass a bill, right? Whatever. And for us, there are some issues that are gridlock issues. Whenever we talk about them, one of us will freeze up. Either I'll become so emotionally overwhelmed that I can't have the conversation, or something will come in, and it's really easy for us in some of those unsolvable conflicts to get into gridlock. But couples that succeed, they find ways to work through that even if they don't find a solution, right? And the last one is that they find shared meaning. And so those are 7 principles. I wonder in your relationship how you see those principles take place, how you don't see place. You can drop them in the comments if you want. But today we're going to spend the next few minutes talking about love maps. Love maps. And we're going to deep dive on those because remember, so that's the first of the, that's first. Look at that. See that? That's first. That's first of the 7 principles is a love maps. And so what I want to think about your relationship is a journey that you're going on, right? Now, I'm almost 50, so I remember going on trips with my dad and we'd pull out the big Rand McNally Atlas, right?
Oh yeah, that was like, that's ancient.
Yeah, it has all the streets everywhere you're going to go, and you would plot your trip, right? And, and that's what you would do. Now we have GPS. But, before we had it in our phones, it would be in your cars, and you'd have to go to the dealership every once in a while and have them update your map, right? Because the roads change, things change, there's new interstates, new loops. And our relationship is the same way. It's a lifelong journey, right? And over time, things change. Facts change, details change, hopes, dreams, goals change, all that changes. And just like you have to take your car in, had to take your car in to update your maps, and just like Google is always updating their maps, you have to update your maps because things about your partner changes and you have to get to know them. And so I want you to think about that for a second. And this is why this is important. And I know this is going to be kind of redundant for a minute, but your partner, your marriage partner, your life partner, whatever, however you've chosen to be married, I fill in the blank, right? That is the most significant relationship in your life. And it should require the effort of getting to know and talk about your partner. And so a lot of times, when I talk to couples, they're like, when they go on dates, have you ever been out, you ever try to do a date night, right? You do a date night and you get dressed, you get a babysitter. We don't get babysitters anymore because our kids are old enough. Sometimes I feel like we have to if they're together because they're crazy. So you get a babysitter, you go out to eat and you sit down and you both grab your phones and you're kind of eating together, but not together.
Yeah.
Right? And I think a lot of times what happens is we do that because we don't even know what to talk about, right? Like life happens and you've lived life, and it's not that things are bad. It's not that things aren't good. It's just that you've gotten into this almost parallel life where you guys are going together and living together, but you're not really talking much. So the idea of love maps is about engaging in meaningful conversations. And so I'd like to invite you to go to the Google Store or the App Store, there's this app called the Gottman Card Deck. Is that what it's called?
Yeah, I have it. It's right here.
Yeah, it's the Gottman Card Deck, and it's got a series of cards. And what it does is it gives you things to ask because you're trying to grow your knowledge of your partner. And so a lot of times what I'll do when I'm in session with people and they're having a hard time talking, I'll go ahead.
That's what it looks like.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and I'll bring out the love map cards. And the love map cards are just an idea of us reading a question and then trying to answer what our spouse knows, right? We're going to kind of give an example of that. Sarah's going to give you an example of how not to do it. And I'm going to give you an example of how to do it. And so what means is and here's the thing, if you get the question wrong, that's okay. Because that just means you need to update your love map, right? If you thought you know the answer and the answer hasn't changed or you don't know the answer, that's not the big deal. That's not means you lost. It means you're just working on it. So I'm going to read the question and I'm going to give the wrong answer. And Sarah's going to show you how you should not respond. What is your partner's favorite TV show? I think your favorite TV show is Sons of Anarchy.
Do not pay attention to anything I watch or anything I talk about.
No, but we just watched it the other day together. And
Okay, but doesn't mean that's my favorite TV show. That's because we watch it together.
Yeah,
but that doesn't mean it's my favorite. So do you not hear me when I speak? Do you not listen? Do you not pay attention?
All right, and done. So okay, so she does a really good job of that. I promise you, she's not like that in real life. But yeah, do you see how so if Sarah, if you came to me, right, and you answered that question, and I responded you in that way, how do you think that would go for the rest of the conversation?
It wouldn't go very well.
Would you want to do more questions?
Oh, I'd be done. I'd be like, well, I guess we're done.
You'd be like, well, I guess I don't effing care what your favorite TV show is, right?
Yes.
And so that's the thing, right? So the key is that's a bad example. Now, Sarah's gonna show. I'm gonna ask Sarah, and I'm gonna show a good example. We gotta find a question that we know. Because I'll ask a question: what's your partner's favorite side of the bed? My favorite side of the bed is whatever side of the bed Sarah tells me to sleep on.
And that's a really good answer.
All right. Oh, there you go.
I don't even know that one.
Oh, never mind. Then find one you know. Even if you get it wrong, I'll tell you. Here's the thing: she can be wrong, and that's okay because being wrong isn't bad. Being wrong means you update your love map, and how can you have that gentle conversation? So.
Okay, what is your partner's favorite animal? A dog. Oh wait, it's the bird, huh? It's the bird. That's right, the bird. I know that.
Yeah, but I do like dogs too.
Yeah, but you like birds.
Yeah, well, what made you think it was dogs?
Because you always talk about possibly getting another dog. You wish Nala was more like a therapy dog. You go, I like dogs. So I just kind of thought it was dogs, but I remember it's actually birds.
And so you can see there in that example, right? It didn't matter whether or not we knew the facts, right? This isn't a trivia question. Like, we're not keeping score. Sarah got 5 questions right. I got 10 questions right. Therefore, I'm the better spouse. No. What we're trying to say is our life has changed. And as life has changed, we know we need to update the love maps. And that's really true, especially with couples that have young kids, right?
Oh, yeah.
Because luckily, we're not in that stage. Now, I am ready for grandkids. So if my kids are watching this.
No, only one's married.
Okay, well.
And they just got married.
Okay, I like grandkids.
I know, but can we just...
Oh, it's all fine. She hits the snooze button. But when you have young kids, right? So what happens is, like, you've spent this time being married and dating, and then you get kids, and all of a sudden your focus becomes split. And it's not that your partner's not still as important. It's just that all these things come up, and in that same time, you know, maybe you got married when you were young and now it's 10, 15 years later and you're a whole different person. And you wonder why some couples get divorced after 20, 30 years of marriage. The reality is they stopped building the love map. And, you know, and you'll hear them all the time. It's like, well, we were just kind of like roommates. We just woke up and we
kind of grew apart.
We just kind of grew apart. Well, you know, working on the love maps is a significant way to avoid that growing apart. And you know, if Sarah were going to be honest right now, she'd tell you that's probably one of the things that I struggle at because I get really, really busy in my life and my hobbies because I have like a billion hobbies.
I have none.
I have like a billion hobbies. And so what happens is I almost get to the point where I've got so much stuff going on in my life that I just take certain things about her for granted. I remember the other day I was asking her, it was bedtime, and I was like, hey, do you want me to go to bed with you? And I realized like, no, I was like, oh wait, you want me to want to go to bed with you. And that became the difference, right? And so we looked at that, and that was kind of the challenge there. So we're going to transition really quickly. We're going to spend just a few minutes doing some question and answers things. And if you got some questions or answers, we'd love to take that. We're going to take about 15 minutes of question and answers. If you've got questions, go ahead and drop those in. We're going to start with some questions we have here. I'm going to give my answer. Sarah's going to give her answer. But if you have other questions, please feel free to join. All right, question number 1. You ready, Sarah?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I was texting
Yeah.
my brother back.
How do you reconnect after drifting apart? How do you reconnect after drifting apart? That's one of the first questions we got.
Am I supposed to answer it?
You can give it. I want to hear your answer and my answer. Do you want to go first or want me to go first?
You can go first so I can understand the path that you're going down.
And our path may not be the same place.
Okay.
So that's hard, right? Especially so if you've been in the military or you go travel for work, it's really easy to be apart. Like I was gone for 4.5 months, right? I think reestablishing patterns and being aware of it, right? I think being aware of the fact that we're drifting apart, being aware of the fact that we're not as connected as we need to be, and not being afraid to name that as a starting point, right? Because sometimes we're afraid to bring that up because like if we admit that we feel disconnected, then our partner might be like, well, is it that you don't love me? If you don't, does that make sense?
I don't know if you're really answering the question very well.
Well, what do you think?
I don't know. So are you asking about like how you actually like, what do you do to try to reconnect with
Yeah,
your
what do you try
partner?
to reconnect? Silence is bad.
Yes, because we need to do more of this ourselves.
We grow at it. It's a work in progress.
I mean, it's pretty bad when the 21-year-old child goes, how come you guys don't go on dates anymore? You really should go out to dinner more often. How come you guys just sit at home and watch a show and you don't actually date? See, so we don't always follow our own advice.
Yeah, but I think we're still kind of connected. Also, here's the thing too. So if you want to wonder if it's a struggle area in your relationship, if you don't think it is and your partner does, congratulations, it is a struggle area because perception is reality. And whatever your partner perceives about the situation, whether you think it's true or not, it's reality.
I feel that you may see us as very connected. However, I'm not feeling as connected because after work, when you come home and we do dinner, then it's like, oh, now what do we do? Like, even though we have a show that we always watch together, we've lost like, hey, what happened to our Saturdays?
So
what happened
translate, we're going to bring out the love maps and start doing some work. Got it. All right, just when I thought I had it worked out. See, I thought I knew stuff and I don't. All right, again, drop any other questions you have. Question number 2. What if I want to talk and my partner shuts down? What if I want to talk and my partner shuts down? Hey, you know what? That's a very normal thing sometimes.
I mean, that happens, but you also have to take a step back and go, why is my partner shutting down? Is it because you're bringing up something that's difficult to talk about? Or did your partner have a really bad day? Does your partner just need some time? And maybe you can have that conversation in like an hour or later on in the evening. I mean, there's lots of reasons why your partner shuts down, but where are you going with that?
No, I think that's a perfect example because like Sarah and I are very different people. So I'm an anxious attacher, right? So which means if there's something going on in our relationship and we're frustrated, like I have this natural decision to just go chase her and pursue her down. And I want to make things right now. Like we're gonna, like, please tell me you still love me. Like we're going to work this out. And Sarah needs space when she's upset.
Like an actual bubble around me. Like he can talk to me, but he has to sit on the other couch. Like I feel like I have to have a physical bubble around me, and I just need time. And sometimes I just need to go, you know what? I need some time to myself. Just give me a little bit. And he's learned, he used to chase me down. That doesn't work for me. So sometimes I will have to basically call like a timeout, and he'll get into that eventually at some point, and say, hey, I just need to have a timeout, and I just need to take some time before we finish this conversation.
Yeah, and we'll talk about that too, because we're going to talk about the 4 horsemen here in a little bit. Not today, because we don't have time. But stonewalling sometimes comes up, and what happens is sometimes your partner shuts down because they just emotionally can't have the conversation, right? Mm-hmm. There is this fight, flight, or freeze that kicks in, and because it kicks in, they have to they just can't. And so we're gonna talk about soothing. Mm-hmm. Sometimes self-soothing yourself and finding out what soothes your spouse. And in that soothing process, you can actually create space for your partner to be able to come and have that conversation, and then also try to make them feel as emotionally safe as possible. Now you can't make anyone feel safe, but you can create space where you try to make it safe enough. Mm-hmm. If that makes sense. Let's see. Oh, question number 4. Question number 3. We argue about the same things all the time. Is that normal? Yes. So if you could watch us for 2 weeks, you're going to find that we fight about the same thing. And the problem is Sarah doesn't even realize we're fighting. But
I have no clue we're fighting, because our fighting does not consist of yelling.
Because I kind of have a rule that we don't raise our voice in the house.
Because that way then the other person can't, what is it? You can't hear.
I can't hear someone when I'm yelling at them.
Yeah, so we just don't yell. So sometimes when we're having a fight, I don't even know we're having a fight.
But the differences in us that come up, they're the same things over and over again. And I said earlier, 96% of your conflict is perpetual. You're going to fight about the same things. And here's the good news. Fighting isn't bad. Conflict isn't bad.
Because I look at it, if you're kind of fighting with me over something, and I'm just saying gentle arguing and everything, I feel like you still want me. You're still fighting for me. You still care about the relationship. If you just stopped caring about it and just whatever, I don't care anymore, you just ignored it, you just kind of stepped away from it, then I feel like you're done fighting for us.
Oh yeah. When couples come to me for coaching or for counseling, if they fight, that doesn't bother me. It tells me that so when you're fighting with your partner, that means you still care about their opinion.
But
and you still want
to
be
nice.
Yeah,
I'm not talking about name calling and screaming and yelling and all those things.
But conflict is going to exist.
Yeah.
Where I get worried about couples we never fight anymore. I'm you never fight anymore? Do you even talk? Because we'll fight all the time. And that's okay. That's normal. And I think we need to normalize differences, right? Because that's one of the reasons why we talked about earlier. It's the reason why I'm doing the podcast is I'm trying to help people normalize normal things in relationships. Because like I said, you'll see these guys on TikTok and they'll be like, oh, you can have this relationship where you never fight with your partner. I'm like, does your are you married to a doll? Because But
we don't really actually fight. I think it's more of discussions. I think our arguments are actually just discussions.
Yeah, but to live in this world where we're never gonna have conflict is
you are always gonna have conflict, and no matter what stage of your marriage, it's gonna bring some sort of conflict.
I have conflict with myself, so of course I have conflict with you. Last question is, how do I get my partner to open up emotionally? And that's the challenge. We still struggle with that, and so I would tell you a lot of times. I shouldn't answer a question, but I think a lot of times I struggle to be very open emotionally, which is really weird because I'm a very touchy-feely guy. I care about people's emotions and feelings. I do all of those things, right? But at the same time, I don't always do a good job sharing my feelings and my emotions. And so I actually spend some time in therapy. I'm still working on some of that stuff. And so I think trying to create a safe enough space, and then you can't nag your partner into sharing their emotions. You really can't. You can't drag those emotions out. You can't nag them. And then when they do share some things with you, you can't be like, well, why do you feel that way? Well, that's stupid, right? And I'll tell you, Sarah doesn't do that. Sarah does a great job. Sarah does say a lot. I wish you'd share more about this and how you feel about that. And the other thing too is sometimes people think their emotions, they don't feel their emotions. And so giving space. But I think patience is a key there. What do you think? Yeah. So that's going to lead us to this next section we're just talking about is just giving your partner grace in the growth process, right? Maybe you're in a relationship right now where things aren't perfect. Again, I'm not saying they're not abusive, not cheating, right? Because I'll tell you, in marriage and family therapy, there are 3 things that are counterproductive to therapy and say we shouldn't do it. One is abuse, because it's just, if there's characterological abuse, that's counterinductive to good therapy. 2 is an ongoing active affair. Like if I'm working with a couple and someone has told me they're not that they had an affair, but they're having an affair, then I'm like, well,
But affairs, period, just are not okay.
Yeah, but if they're telling me they're actually having an affair, I'm not going to work with them anymore, because I can't work with somebody who's still purposely damaging the relationship.
Yes.
And the 3rd thing is substance abuse. The person's got to go get their substance abuse issue worked out, and then we can do marriage and family stuff. But maybe you're in a marriage right now where it's not great. Well, the good news is you can be better. You can work on that. Maybe your partner struggles with some of these aspects that we talk about, and you want them to do better. Well, the key is you got to have grace as they're learning to be better, right? So when they try to build their love map, when they try to practice fondness, when they try to do the things that you want them to do, when they're trying to become a better partner, do you have patience when it's 2 steps forwards, 1 step back? Do you have grace with them? Can you treat them with the same kindness and compassion you treat the barista at Starbucks, right? Who spells your name with a J instead of a G, right? And again, it's very nuanced there, because I watched this guy and he was talking about how your husband's not a bad man just because he gets angry and he yells. I'm like, well, if your husband yells at you, screams at you, calls you names, and is mean, he's a bad man, right? Like that. But what I'm saying is we are constantly trying to do better. And as you watch these podcasts with us and these lives with us, you're going to find out that, man, there are things we're still working. Like we came up with something today that I didn't realize was a problem, and she brought it up to me. Now the point is for us to say, okay, well, in light of these new facts and information, how do I work on this better? And how can I help my partner? How can I encourage my partner? And how can I give grace to my partner when they don't live up to my expectations? And I'll kind of leave that, kind of talk about, we get married, we have this whole box of hopes and dreams. Everything that we hope our spouse is going to be. And then we dump that whole box into expectations. And then when our partner doesn't meet those expectations, we get frustrated. And when they do meet our expectations, it's no big deal, because that's what they're supposed to do. And so anyway, that is, again, today we talked about why we're here.
Yeah.
We're going to be here every Wednesday night at 7:30 Mountain for about an hour. We reviewed Gottman's material, talked about how couples that succeed, couples that have strength, they build their love maps, they nurture fondness and admiration, they turn towards and not away from each other, they receive influence, they solve their solvable problems, they overcome gridlock, and
which we're going to get to all that.
Yes, we're going to,
Okay.
and then they also build a shared dream. Next week we're going to talk about fondness and admiration, and how to foster that. And we're talking about why that's important, because we're going to briefly talk about the 4 horsemen and how fondness and admiration can be a real cure to that. In the meantime, if you have questions, please follow us. Drop comments in there. If some of this stuff has kind of got your attention and you'd like more information, you can go ahead and DM me. I do offer some private coaching. I would love to help you out. And thank my wife for stepping outside of her comfort zone and doing this live. All right, thanks guys. Bye.